Hello, sportsman, and welcome to another episode of the Committed Podcast. My special guest today is a Tennessee Mojo catcher. That's her proud pop in the background, I'm hoping. But somebody's in the background. But we have our 2024 catcher, Riley Zache. How'd I do with the name?
Spot on.
That's good. That's good. Yeah, I kind of struggled with it last time. And my special co-host this week is little sister Berkeley Zakay. We talked to her a little bit last week. She is the 2025 pitching commit going to the same school, but today she is my co-host. So Riley, first of all, I want to welcome you to the show. How are you doing today?
I'm good. How are you?
I'm doing excellent, excellent. And my co-host Berkeley, how are you today?
Pretty good. How about you?
Good, good, good. Berkeley, why don't you tell me just a little bit about Big Sister before I go ahead and start my questions?
Sure. So, my sister is 13 months older than I am,
Okay.
and she has kind of been with me through my entire softball career and every other sport that we've played. We've pretty much always been on the same team. And just recently, since we got into high school, she started being my catcher. And now she's going to school to be hopefully a catcher. I'm not exactly sure, to be totally honest. I don't think she is either. But yeah. So
That's awesome. That's awesome. Yeah, it's interesting you say that because I tell a lot of my players and getting a chance to interview some big time college coaches, you never know what you're going to play. It seems like every single outfielder was a middle in travel. A lot of the first basemen were catchers in travel, and so you never know. But just to be going to such a prestigious university has to be a tremendous honor. It is. So Riley, why don't you tell us a little bit about your background as far as, when you first started with softball, kind of your progression from all-stars to travel, and then a little bit about the recruiting process.
So as a joke, I started playing when I was 18 months old. My mom had me hitting off a tee with a wiffle ball bat and everything. I was hitting
Let's
lefty,
go.
had my hands on everything.
Let's
Um,
go.
but we started taking it more serious when we moved up to Michigan because during that time we were still in Texas.
Okay.
Me and Berkeley were on a co-ed t-ball team, and yeah, that was quite the experience.
Now that's probably
And
what, 5 years old, right in there?
yeah, probably something like that.
Nice.
We were playing a bunch of sports and all that stuff during that time, trying to figure out what we wanted to do. And then we moved to where we're at now, Niles, Michigan. And that's, I think, 2 years after we moved here, we joined a travel ball team that was more local and everything to try and get our feet wet and all that stuff and figure out what we wanted to do. And then we started kind of moving up the ranks and all that stuff with how travel ball works and everything. So we eventually moved up to Michigan Finesse. And then a year of that, we moved over to Illinois Chill Gold. And then a year after that, we moved over to the Beverly Bandits for 2 years.
Okay.
And now we're at Tennessee Mojo.
You know what's interesting? Yeah, you know what's interesting? I used to think that when we first started getting into the travel ball world, that everybody picks a team and they stay there for 4, 5, 6 years, and I'm finding out that's very, very rare.
Yeah, it's definitely would have we preferred to stay local? Probably because we have to travel quite a bit for everything, but having to travel a bit also offers more opportunity and everything, and sometimes you just gotta branch off and everything and kind of take your own path and all that so that you can pursue your dreams, kind of like college. So we've met a lot of people along the way, and they're all amazing people, and we've definitely have had some wonderful and not so wonderful experiences, but it all comes with the process of everything. So
That's interesting. That's interesting. And so far on the show, we've talked about with a lot of different girls the wonderful adventures, the big time moments, the memories they remember. But it's interesting that you bring it up. It's not always all roses. It's not always good moments. There's been difficult moments as well. Can you think of any challenges that you really had to overcome to get where you're at?
I can think of quite a few. Softball and I have had a very rocky relationship over the past 5 or 6 years.
Okay.
There's been the obstacle of coaches and everything, and not always getting to do exactly what you wanted to do, but that's kind of why I'm in the position I am now. I'm able to play every position, and I'm able to play confidently. And positions I've had zero interest in playing, I was put there, and it was either that or sit the bench. And I was like, you know what? I'm going to take this opportunity, make the most out of it. But it's definitely been mentally challenging and everything. And
Mhm.
there have been parts where I'm kind of sitting and I'm like, what am I doing? Why am I doing this? And then I have to step back and kind of re-fall in love with the sport again. And I guess you could say, but yeah, I mean, at the end of the day, just reminding yourself you're a person, you're more than a player, and you gotta, when you take off that jersey, you gotta remind yourself that it's just something you do, not something you are. So just kind
Yeah.
of all that.
Yeah, no, and that's important. I'm really appreciative of you saying that because I work with primarily I work with 14s right now, 14s second year 14s going into 16s, but I work with some older girls as well as high school, and a lot of times these girls think that there's something wrong with them because they don't love it like they did when they were 10 years old. They're not always, they think, okay, you two girls are committed to Oklahoma. You guys have had tremendous success in travel ball. You must always love it. You must not have bad days. And it's interesting. The more and more people I talk to, we're not that different. There's good days, there's bad days. I just think the difference is some girls are willing to persevere and get to the side where they fall back in love with it. And I think that's important to hear it coming from a player of your caliber. So that's really, really good.
Yeah, I mean, there's definitely like this weekend. There was a day I got a hit every at bat, and I won
Mm,
1,000 on the day. And then the next day, I woke up and I didn't get a hit all day. And it's just
mm,
reminding myself, you know what, stuff happens. Some days you wake up on the right side of the bed, and some days you don't. But it's part of
yeah.
the game because it's a game of
It,
averages.
Yeah, it's a stupid game sometime. My little ones were playing today, and our pitcher is just dominating, and she's jamming girls and fooling them, and everything is falling. Bloopers over the second baseman's head, going down the line. The next inning, she comes in, three line drives, three pitches were out of the inning, and I just tell her it's a stupid game. Sometimes you do everything right and it doesn't work out, and other times it does. But like you said, it's a law of average, and I think what I've heard from most college coaches, they're really more concerned about how you react to it versus what happens.
Yeah.
Now, are you going to fall apart because a couple of little bleeders fall for hits, or are you going to stay tough, stay level headed? And so that's really important that you have that perspective. So
Mm-hmm.
so tell me, Riley, tell me a little bit about your recruiting process. Obviously, you did something right. You're landing in Norman, Oklahoma, so um, kind of the mecca of the softball world. Tell us a little bit how you got in contact with the coaches there.
So my story is actually really interesting. Berkeley's
Okay.
laughing because September 18th, 2022, I committed to the University of Missouri. So
Okay.
I was originally destined to go play at Missouri and go be a Tiger and everything, but then me and Berkeley started talking a bit and all that stuff and figuring out what it was we wanted. And she didn't really feel like Missouri was her home. She was missing something. And I kind of sat there and was thinking, well, I like Missouri, but it's not going to be my home without Berkeley.
Mm.
And anywhere I would be happy with if my sister was by my side, and that's just kind of how we've always been.
Oh,
So she went on her visit. She officially decided that she didn't think it was the right fit for her, and some other things for me, but mainly it was I wasn't gonna have my sister by my side. So I decided that it was time to reopen my recruiting. And we, a few days later, went down to Norman, Oklahoma, and I was just like, yeah, like her sister, like this is great, like this is so exciting for her. And Coach Gassow asked me like what my situation was. I was like, oh, I just decommitted. And then when they offered Berkeley, they kind of turned and looked at me like, so do you want to come here too? And I was like, oh yeah. And so we
that's
committed together.
crazy.
Like we didn't even talk to our parents. We just kind of looked at each other. I was like, you want to be here? She's like, yes. And I was like, well, if you're here, I'm here. And
That's
yeah, the rest is
crazy.
history.
So then we call mom or we call dad and we're like, guess what? We're both in. Is that how it went?
Well, they were in the room, and
Okay.
they were like, "Are we not going to talk about this as a family?" And we're like, "No."
No.
You know what? There's some places where you just know. You're just waiting for them to say the words. It's interesting. It's just like from a coach's perspective, there's some girls that try out, and there's some girls where it's like, okay, we need to see her again, or she may work, or let's see if it were. And then there's some girls like, no, we want her. where do we sign up? And so that's interesting to see it from the other angle with the college. Well, I mean, that's absolutely amazing. And I think that's kind of touching that, your decision was based primarily on where little sister's going to go because, a lot of us coaches and a lot of us parents, my daughters are 2 years apart and I don't see that happening. I think they're both individuals and they kind of want to go where they want to go. But that's really special that you guys have that bond. As a matter of fact, I think when we were talking to Berkeley, I know she was kind of having reservations about playing high school without you. Um, and have you had any influence on her decision to play or not play this year? Tell me a little bit about that.
Uh, I've been trying to stay out of it because I did play my freshman year of high school without her.
Okay.
But I also know I had that 1 year without her, and then I had 3 years with her. She's starting off with 3 years with me and 1 year without me. So
Hmm.
all like her entire high school experience, I've been in the picture where I started out with her not in the picture. So
Hmm.
I knew it was gonna be. I know it's gonna be a little harder for her and everything, and especially with me catching her all 3 years and everything, and her being the elite pitcher she is. I just, I'm, I'm not sure for her mentally if it's the right thing, if she's gonna be okay with all the stuff and everything that I'm normally there for, me not
Hmm.
being there for. But at the same time, it's her decision, and I'm trying to respect it the best I can because I did get a lot of opportunities this year with me being a senior and everything, and all that fancy senior stuff you get. So I know she also wants to partake in that. So I'm just kind of like, I understand why she wants to do it, but at the same time, I hope she realizes everything that it means, the ups and the downs. So,
Yeah, yeah. No, it's important, but like I said, I really don't think she'll regret it. I think, like you said, senior year, just I mean, obviously she's dominating already, but just with a year more of wisdom, I think it'll be even better. Now, you talk about pressure on a catcher. I mean, who's gonna be her catcher that has to replace Big Sister and Oklahoma commit? That's gonna be a little bit of pressure on her next catcher.
yeah, I think I'm pretty sure I know who it will be. But I don't know. It's just there's something about our connection that you can't have with another catcher. Like, yeah, they could be really good friends, but it's not the sister sister connection. Like me looking at her after a bad pitch and kind of going, "Dude, what was that?" And her going,
Yeah,
"Yeah,
yeah.
I know." Like, because we do have that sister relationship, and I do see everything she does behind the scenes, so I know what her best is, and it's just not sure another catcher could fully fulfill what I do, but I'm hoping they do a good job.
Nice, nice, nice. Now, so my next question was for you, Riley, but you've already answered it, so I'm going to switch it back to Berkeley. So my question was going to be for you, Riley. What really got you to commit to Oklahoma? What was special about Norman? What was special about the Gassos? But you've already told me that the key factor was being with your sister. And so, Berkeley, I'm switching back to you. What made Oklahoma the spot for you to commit to?
Yeah, so I actually like from the day that I got on campus, I like felt something there that I hadn't felt at the other two schools that I went. And I was like, this is really interesting. Like I at the other two places I was like, okay, I kind of want to go home. Like this wasn't my home, and I told my parents I'm like this isn't my home, but I when I was at Oklahoma, I told my mom a couple times I was like I don't want to go home. Like I love it here. This is amazing. And then so like everything kind of played a part. And when I got into the room with Coach Gasso and my family, and I was like, okay, I'm committing right now if they offer
Nice.
my sister too. Like,
So
and
you let
so
them know it was a package deal, huh?
what?
I said, did you let them know it was a package deal or?
I don't think a package deal is like the way to describe it
Mhm.
because I don't think Coach Gasso just takes players to take
Yeah, yeah,
players,
yeah.
and I feel like that's kind of the connotation that that gives. But
Okay.
I mean, Riley definitely she got there on her own.
Oh, yeah.
So I think for me personally, like Riley being there with me is what really sold it. I mean, I was already sold on the school and everything, but her
Mhm.
being there also like kind of like she said just sold it completely for me as well.
Just the cherry on top.
Yeah.
Ah, excellent. So now tell me, so when you guys committed, I'm assuming you've been back, was Love Field already completed? Or were they it was still in the process?
No,
They were
so
still
when
in the
we,
process.
yeah.
We got
Okay.
the tour of like the initial ground stuff. Like they had like the layout, but it wasn't
Hmm.
like fully done or anything. Like it had the cement structures and all that stuff.
Okay.
Like we walked through and we still had to have the hard helmets on and the construction stuff on. But we
Mm.
saw the plans and everything for it, and just like how the plans were, it's awesome. So
Yeah, I haven't been a chance to get back to the new stadium. I think the last time I was there, I happened to be pretty decent friends with the Romero family, Sydney and Sierra, and so Sydney was there forever, and I met up with her at the old stadium. We had some business to take care of, and so we were at the old stadium. They hadn't even broke ground yet. There were, they had the plans, but just to kind of watch it from a distance and now see them playing there, it is amazing. I absolutely can't wait to get back. So I'll definitely be catching some games next year. So Riley, tell me, and I've asked your sister the same question, and she gave me a sports answer. So I'm going to qualify the question even different. So what I want to know, and what some of the audience wants to know is, if there was no softball, and I'm going to throw volleyball in it as well. If there was no softball or volleyball, because I know you guys are volleyball studs as well, what what would you do as far as a career, a passion? What's something we don't know about Riley?
so I Berkeley can kind of stand by this, but I'm very into academics. I love researching stuff and solving problems, but I also love helping people. So
Hmm.
I've already like my major is pre-med and I'm planning on doing something to help
Okay.
people and everything. But I love solving
Hmm.
problems and all that, and I especially like math and sciences and all that stuff. I'm okay with like English and history. Like I think history is interesting, but not enough to write an essay on. But yeah, I want to be able to use my head to help people because I we've had a lot of family members pass on and everything, and we've seen
Hmm.
a lot of people get hurt and all that, especially being around sports. So I'd
Yeah.
definitely be doing something to help people for the better.
That's awesome. That's really good to hear. That's really good to hear. Um, I am gonna let my co-host ask the last question, but before I do that, I would just want to know, what kind of advice would you have for a younger player just starting the recruiting process, eighth grade, freshman? What kind of advice would you have for a new young lady that's just beginning the process?
Uh, I have a lot I could give, but I think the most important one is don't force it. So if
Mm.
you're kind of destined to do whatever. It's not like you can totally control everything you do. So you
Mm.
think you have a plan for one thing. Like I thought last year my plan was to go to Missouri. In less than a month from now, I'm going to be in Norman. So it's just kind of like, just put your faith in God and trust in whatever He takes you to do. It's not always going to work out how you want it to work out. But you know what? If it wasn't supposed to work out, that means something better is on the other side for you. So it's just
Wow.
keep your head down, keep grinding, and the opportunities will come. And when they come, take them. So,
That's awesome. That's great advice, man. It sounds like kind of what we tell a lot of our kids. You control the controllables. There's so much
mhm,
stuff out of our control. You control what you can, and your reaction, and let the chips fall where they may. So that's awesome.
exactly.
That's awesome. And now I'm going to turn it over to my co-host Berkeley, and she's got one final question for Big Sister. And it could be about anything. It could be about, I don't know, the boy she tried to talk to that you talked her out of. It could be about
She doesn't
healing.
let me talk her out of boys.
No, she doesn't let that. So, all right, what do you got, Berkeley?
Um, so I've been thinking really hard these last 45 seconds about this question. But um I would say, if you could change one thing about any aspect of your life, what would it be?
Wow, that got deep.
And I was expecting like what's for dinner. I wasn't
I
expecting
know.
that.
I, I should have like some Jeopardy music playing. Dun, dun, dun.
um, are you talking like recent things or like
I I said any aspect of your life.
not going to Georgia this weekend? She knows why I'm saying that one.
I
Like
told him.
Oh, okay. Okay. Yeah, yeah. That was a tough one. And not to give out too much details, but yeah, we lost one of our fur buddies while we were away. And so again, like I said, I we all have our pets that we love, and I know that's a little bit tough for all of us. So again, my sympathies to the family. But like I said, it's we know how it is to lose a pet. And so unfortunately, how did the softball go while you guys were out there?
I think we
It was
took like third or
first
fourth.
place.
Yeah.
Oh. So
In
it
the first
started good and
place.
ended bad.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
That's
This stuff happened, and for us, it was really hard because we just wanted to be home after that.
yeah.
So
Yeah, yeah,
yeah.
yeah. No, I get it. I get it. Good. Well, so again, like I said, we actually went over on our time, but like I said, it was so awesome to talk to both of you guys. Again, like I said, I'm starting to follow Tennessee Mojo a little bit more, and I've always been an OU fan, but now I got a couple more people to yell out from the stands when I'm out there. So this was really fun. I just want to thank you guys both for joining me. It's been awesome, and go Sooners.
Thank
Thank
you
you
for
so
having
much.
us.